All right, hi folks, I'm Mike Madeja, Director of Education at the Independent Seaport Museum, and today I'm joined by Jeff McAleer, Acting Deputy Chief of Operations with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Right now, we are in Pedricktown, New Jersey. There's 3 cells in this area. We're in Pedricktown South. Up there is Pedricktown North and Oldman.
You said cells, right? So how big is each cell or area where the dredged material goes?
So these cells are one of our larger ones. Each cell is about 500 acres each, between 400 and 500.
So how deep does each cell go?
The deeper the better. The more capacity we have, the better. A lot of the activities out here we do is to build this dike system up so we have more and more capacity. So for instance, in this cell here, for every 1 foot we go up, we gain about 500,000 yards of capacity in dredging.
Right here too, in going into the cell, we see the active dredged material going into the cell, and eventually this will sift out to be water and the sediment. How long does that take? What's that process?
Correct. So that's why it's good to have this much acreage, is then the material can decant out of the water as quickly as possible. So on the other side of the cell, we have a sluice box that will be sending the fresh water back to the Delaware River. So the idea is that this material, as a slurry, this is about 70 to 80% water and 20% material. We want it to run a slalom course through here as best as possible. So we build these baffle dikes to make it actually serpentine through so the material drops out and we have fresh water on the other side going back out.
You mentioned 2 words that I want folks to know what they are. You mentioned sluice and freeboard.
Yeah.
What are those?
So freeboard is from the top of the dike to your infield vertically, how much area you have.
Okay.
So that's really where our capacity numbers are driven from.
Right.
And sluice is just a structure we have that works as a weir, that we can control the elevation of it to make sure that we're getting clear water going back out to the river. It's connected to a piping system that we'll see in a little bit. Right now we're on the downstream side of the placement facility, so we're the farthest away from the discharge pipe, and that's where the sluice is located. So that's what, as we said before, we want all that clean water coming down this side, and that's what we want going back out into the river, and the sluice box itself is the controlling mechanism of that.
So then before this gets back into the river itself proper, there is a water quality testing process that happens at this location.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, some of the times we have to do chemical testing, but in real time what we want to make sure we do twice a day is that we're just checking the TSS of the material, basically the density of the material going back in. The sample Phil took was out actually of the sluice box itself. The sluice box feeds into 30-inch pipes that go back out into the river. So we're at Kilcahook, where we just freshly built this cell. One of the parts that goes into that is putting a new sluice box in. So previously at Pedricktown, we were at the top of the sluice box looking down. Now we're at the bottom looking up. Exact same structure, exact same principles. It sits on a concrete pad. We have our 3 discharge pipes, and we have 26 foot of steel that goes all the way up to about the top of the dike line. You don't want it to go any farther than that. What the baffle does is force the water into a longer path to the sluice box, ensuring we have clean water when it gets here.
Okay, so if I thought being in the cell was very exciting, I think this might be even more exciting. We are currently in 2 different places at the same time. Where are you right now?
I'm in New Jersey.
And I'm in Delaware. Where do states play a role in this whole process? How do you end up with a site that is in both or in 2 different states at the same time? How does this all kind of work on that level?
Yeah, so the state lines throughout the project change in a couple different places. So in some places, the center line of the channel is the state divide between PA and New Jersey. And the top of Delaware has that radius that comes around. And once it hits the water, it comes over and hits the New Jersey shoreline, the high water line, historic line. That historic line is about here. We have since built out. This dike was put in place specifically to delineate from New Jersey and Delaware. Back during the deepening process, we were mandated to put certain materials in certain areas, and every state has different regulations on water quality and discharge requirements.
All right, remember, no matter which state you're in, to follow us, Independent Seaport Museum, on YouTube and our other social media channels.